Well, Gary, a spirited second half, but ultimately the damage done in the first.
Yes, yeah, we were incredibly poor first half. I think that's probably as bad as we've played in a half since I've been here. And I mean, just in terms of our mentality, I think was poor today. You know, we come here. I mean, the first touch of the ball is the kick-off, the start of the game, and we go sideways, backwards, make about 5 passes, end up with Thomas on the ball. He kicks it, and we end up on the halfway line where we started. You know, and I think even in those situations, you can start the game in the right way. You know, you can play the ball into their half. We can get up. We can put a little bit of pressure on, and we didn't do that. So there was lots of disappointing aspects to the game. Not least, I just felt our work rate and our desire really to defend as a team was not good enough first half. We got into some half decent counter-attacking positions, but again perhaps didn't show the energy to get into enough. So you know, you come in at half time, sometimes you can not play well and still be at 0-0. But unfortunately for us it was 2-0, you know, and I think the goals were very poor. First goal, shots deliberates on the ball too long, certainly should defend a lot better. Put the ball into Row's head and worry about it afterwards. He ends up getting robbed. The lad has 5 touches in the box and still no one gets near him. I think there was 2 contentious moments in the game. One was before that goal, shots got sived down in the box by the goalkeeper who was nowhere near the ball. The referee said he cleanly got the ball, which was a little bit bewildering. And then I thought it was a dubious penalty at the other end. I think Poulter cleverly sees Morrow coming. I think he leans into him and then falls over, you know, and at 6'3", I'm pretty sure there wasn't enough contact to make you fall over if you're shoulder to shoulder on someone. So, you know, I don't want to sound like it's sour grapes because I think QPR thoroughly deserved the win today, but we've certainly not made them work hard enough. And I could certainly think you can add some very, very poor officiating in amongst that.
There haven't been too many times this season where you would have taken your team in 2-0 down at half-time, but the start to the second half was a lot brighter.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, we showed a good reaction, a better mentality second half. I think they're an honest group. You know, we know we've got an honest group of lads. And I think sometimes we get to a point where it almost looks so if you can just win another game, you can be right in a fantastic position. And perhaps when we get to that point, maybe just it's that little bit sometimes, extra little bit of sparkle you're looking for. And I've said to the lads that, you know, when we work hard and we're together and we do what we're good at, we're a very, very good team, and we've got to do it better. We've got to do it more rather than trying to do something that we're not really about. But certainly second half we tried to make as many attacking changes as we could. We've ended up with 2 strikers, we've ended up with John just behind them, and we've still got 2 wingers on the pitch. And I think we caused them problems, but not enough clear problems. You know, I can only remember 2 or 3 decent chances. The goalmouth scramble to start with, where perhaps we're a little bit unfortunate something doesn't fall for us. I think that Vaughan has a header late on that perhaps just needs to glance maybe rather than getting too much on it. So, but apart from that, I can't remember too many times where we've opened them up. So, you know, incredibly frustrating afternoon.
Because it had a feeling of a game. If you could get that first goal, they were beginning to sit back and get a little bit nervy.
Yeah, well, they've not won that many games recently, have they? So I think they've won 2 in something like 11 games. So I think when you're in that position, you know, at 2-0 up, you know, if we could have got the first goal, I think particularly early on in the second half, and I think the game would have been a really interesting one as it was. I think, you know, at 2-0 it still allows them just to sit in and block up every space that they can, and you know, but we've got to be better than that. We've got to put better balls into the box. We've got to play with better quality, and certainly be better defensively as a unit. You know, which we have been. You know, we've only conceded, you know, very, very few goals, and you know, I think we've had 5 clean sheets in the last 6 games. So I can't be too disappointed. But you know, just when we needed another type of those performances, we couldn't quite put one in.
And just finally, as you mentioned there, can it be sometimes good to get this game out of your system going into some pretty tasty games coming up, including Hull next Thursday?
Well, that depends if you get it out of your system, because you know we certainly got to be a lot better than that, and playing against probably one of the best sides in the division. You know, if you play like that, you find yourself 4 or 5 goals down at half time, let alone 2. So, but we've not done that too many times this season. We've been pretty good on the whole, and I'm sure that we'll bounce back with a really good reaction and hopefully a much better performance.
Lovely.